Hello and welcome to the Beyond the Mirror podcast. This week we'll go into Braxton's story with struggling with anorexia through high school. And her story is so interesting and so inspiring, so stay tuned.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. This is Braxtyn. She's going to share her story of struggling with anorexia early on in her life. So, Braxtyn, anything else you'd like to add?
Nope.
Okay. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you struggled with and how it all came about?
I was a senior in high school and I had always been skinny. Like I'm tall and skinny. That's just how I am. And for some reason I had the idea that I didn't like it when my legs jiggled when I walked. Something so silly, but in high school it was like everything. And I was convinced that nobody else had that struggle. Like it was only me.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter what pants I was wearing or whatever. So I thought, well, I need to diet, I need to exercise, I need to get my legs to stop jiggling.
Yeah.
My little helper here is trying to grab the phone.
Great.
Is it right?
Hi, bud.
So I tried eating salads and just eating healthier, and my legs were still jiggling. And then I started to notice things like, oh, my stomach sticks out, or my face looks fat in the mirror, which none of them did, but you get that idea that you see one thing and then suddenly everything else
Yeah.
is like that too. So I'm just gonna move this back so you can't reach it. So I was like, well, the exercising and the dieting is not working. So
Yeah.
I need to just like start skipping a couple meals. Like I'll just skip lunch and then hopefully it will go away. Like hopefully I'll lose the weight. So I started out with like just eating a small lunch, or I'd not eat my full lunch. And then I started bringing home lunch, and I would just bring like these tiny little meals, hoping that it would help, And then it got easier and easier to not eat. Like I would skip breakfast in the morning. My mom had 5 kids. It was not easy for her to keep track. She wasn't keeping track of whether or not I was eating breakfast, Or I would tell her that I had stuff in my bag. Started not being honest because I was so worried about losing the weight.
Yeah.
And then I stopped eating lunch altogether at school. Sometimes I would pack it, but then I wouldn't take it out. I'd say, oh, I already ate, or I'm not hungry, or whatever, or I need to study. And then I was dating my boyfriend at the time, and he started noticing. He's like, no, you didn't eat earlier, like you should sit down and eat lunch. And I'm like, no, I already ate, like it's fine. And I didn't think that anybody else really noticed. I guess I didn't care. I didn't care if anybody else noticed. I was the one that needed to lose the weight. And then I stopped going to lunch because I didn't want people to ask me why I wasn't eating. And I didn't want to explain to them, well, I don't want my legs to jiggle, and I don't like my face to be fat, and everything else, like nobody else understood. So I stopped eating. I would eat dinner at home, like with my family, because we all sat down together for dinner, and I couldn't get away from that. But that was the only meal that I was eating during the day. And I really wasn't like drinking anything either. Finally, after a couple of months, I was playing a song for church at my church, and my mom was like, you look way too skinny in that dress. Like, you need to eat something. And that was the first time that my mom had noticed. And I was like, oh, no, it was just the dress, And then I'm like, I look skinny. People think I look skinny. Like, this is good. I'm achieving what I want to achieve. And then I think it was a couple weeks after that, I didn't eat lunch, and my boyfriend came and found me in the library and was like, you have to eat lunch. Like, I will drag you out of here and you'll go eat lunch. And I'm like, no, like I have to study for this test. And he's like, well, I'm going to text your mom. And I'm like, you wouldn't, you know?
Yeah.
And he did. He totally texted my mom, and she freaked out, and my dad freaked out. And after that, it was like, no, I didn't like have to go to the hospital or anything. Like, it luckily it hadn't gotten that bad, but it was hard to go back to eating after that, because I still was in the mentality that my legs are jiggling and my face was fat, and you know, there were girls skinnier than me, and like it was hard to go back to thinking normal about food. But I did, and that's kind of my story. So
Well, good. Thank you for sharing, Braxton. So I guess a few questions for you. So first one that I thought of as we were chatting, was there something besides the fact that your legs felt jiggly that caused you to think that your body wasn't enough as it was?
I don't know. I guess in my head it was just like there's other people skinnier than me. Like my sisters are skinnier than me, and all my friends were skinnier than me, and I need to be skinny too, even though they weren't any skinnier than me. You know, for some reason it was just like I stuck in my head that I had to be skinny like everybody else.
Yeah. Okay. And what, I guess, because as you're sharing your story, you're talking about a lot of almost like shame around not eating. So you did end up, I guess, lying a lot. Like, yeah, I did eat. So I guess if someone, I don't know, I guess my first question would be when your mom noticed at church that you looked too skinny, did you feel like you looked the way you wanted to at that point?
Yeah, I did. It was like, wow, like she noticed that I'm skinny. It was like I had achieved my goal, you know?
Gotcha. But before she said that, at that point in your life, when you were playing the piano in church or whatever it was, before she said anything, did you feel like your body was where you wanted it to be?
No, I don't think that if someone wouldn't have said anything to me, I don't think I ever would have said, oh yeah, I'm skinny enough, you know, because it was just in my head, like, I gotta be skinnier, I gotta be skinnier. Like there was never like, yeah, I've made it to I'm skinny enough, you know. It was like just a continuing thing until someone was like, oh yeah, you're skinny. And I was like, oh, they think I'm skinny. Like, you know.
Yeah. Do you think that a lot of outward influences and people around you may have affected the way you thought about yourself?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think in high school you care a lot about what other people think, whether you mean to or not.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think 100%. And I don't think that there was anyone that ever told me that I was fat, you know.
Yeah.
But it was just like looking at everybody else, they all were so skinny. So for me, it was definitely like outward, people are all skinny and I'm not. And inside, I was not secure about who I was. Like I wasn't happy with who I was, you know.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess my other question is, so you had a boyfriend, you had friends. Was there something that happened within that group of friends that made you feel like you had to prove yourself to them?
I've never thought about it that way, but my friends, I was like in the friend group of like the geniuses at the school, like the 4.0 kids.
Yeah.
And it was, I mean, okay, want to sit down and say hi?
Hi, bud.
So yeah, I guess like for me, it was like, well, what can I do to be as good as them? Like school is hard for me. I'm not a 4.0, but maybe I can be as skinny as them. But yeah, like I said, I've never thought about it like that, but I'm sure that was probably playing into it. Like, how can I fit into this friend group, you know?
Yeah, for sure. So Braxton, when you decided well, I guess when other people noticed that you were too skinny and were not healthy, what were the steps you took to start to get back to normal for you?
For me, it was having everybody watch me all the time. So like I didn't have a choice. Like my mom made sure that I ate breakfast before I left, so I couldn't get out of that one, you know. And my boyfriend and I don't know if my friend, so my boyfriend was like making sure that I was eating lunch. So that was like one of the first steps, and that was hard because I'd been able to get away from it for so long.
Yeah.
It like probably went on for 6 months or so, you know, and I'd been able to get away from getting out of those situations. So it was hard to sit down and like have someone watch me eat because and the
Sure.
whole time I'm thinking, this is not helping me getting skinny. I'm not gonna be skinny after this. Like that was
Yeah.
hard. And then like noticing like my hair was like falling out and I didn't notice because I was like missing all those vitamins. And so I didn't notice until I started eating again that like my hair was falling out. And so I started taking some vitamins and just being like, it was like a weird feeling to just always have someone watching me eat. I just remember that was like,
Yeah.
I no longer had that freedom to eat whenever I wanted or eat by myself. So that was like the biggest step. But then after that, it was like eating by myself. And then, yeah. And then later on, I eventually said thank you to my boyfriend. Like, thank you for saying something because I was obviously too blind to see what was going on, you know? So I don't remember the exact steps after like watching someone watching me eat, but eventually I got back to like a healthy weight and yeah.
Okay.
So
How was that for you, getting back to a healthy weight for yourself?
that was hard too, like watching the scale go up, you know,
Yeah.
because at 6 months I'd been obsessing where like that I wanted to be like 110, you know, and I got to like 115 and I was so close and that was hard to watch it go back up. Like
Yeah.
I didn't realize how long it was going to take for my thinking to not always be centered around eating and being skinny.
Yeah. Yeah. So now that it's been a few years since you've struggled with all of that, have you found yourself going back into those habits ever?
Um, Not really with the food. Like I try to eat healthy, but I'm not like obsessive about it, which is good. The scale thing, I don't know. I feel like it's kind of a thing for everybody. Watch the scale go up and down, and you're like, oh geez. Like when I was pregnant with Eli last year, it was just really hard to watch the scale go up and up and up and up, being the heaviest that I've ever been, you know? But like thankfully I think I've healed from like being my skinniest and gone from being like I want to be skinny to like I want to be healthy. So it's like, yeah, the scale went up and yeah, I've been heavy, but then I've exercised and I've eaten healthy and overall I just feel good, you know? And I watch other people struggle with feeling skinny and dieting and exercising and every time I'm just like, don't worry about it. Like
Yeah.
like your whole life becomes obsessing about that and you're really not happy. And it's sad because you're missing out on like my senior year I missed out on because I was so worried about my weight.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I think I've come full circle and I haven't ever gone back to skipping meals or anything like that. But I think it's just like a lifelong struggle of like accepting who you are and like your body type and like you can't eat the same as other people and
Yeah.
you can't exercise the same as other people. Like everybody's body works differently, but if you are happy with who you are, then like you will feel good in your body no matter what size it is, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I love that. Thank you for sharing your story, Braxton. So for any of those that may be struggling right now that are listening, what would be your number one tip for them or top three, whatever comes to your mind?
First one is people are more aware than you realize. I had friends after the fact say, "Oh yeah, I noticed." And I wish some of them would have said something, you know? So like if there's friends that you have, or if you are a friend of somebody else that is struggling, please say something, because in their minds they don't understand and they can't see anything past their struggle, you know? And
Yeah.
for those struggling, like I said, you're not alone, and don't be afraid to reach out for help, because people are more willing to help than you realize. Like,
Yeah.
you're not going to burden them and they're not going to judge you. They're going to want to help you. My second piece of advice is, like I said before, if you like, it doesn't matter what size your body is or what you look like or what your voice sounds like, or if you have anxiety or whatever, you know, like you have to figure out what makes you happy, and life is too short to spend the whole time wishing you were somebody else. And that's super hard until you reach the point that you're happy with who you are.
Yeah.
But it's worth it to find that person.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, Braxton. I love that, because I feel like a lot of the time we're so busy thinking that we need to be someone else. But ultimately, it comes down to the fact of the matter that we were made to be different and unique. And that's why we're not made the same shape and size. I mean, I'm short and more stocky built, and you're tall and thinner built. That's just how life is, you know? And so, yeah. Any other last things that you want to share with those listening?
Nope, I think that's it.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing your story, Braxton. It's been so inspiring, and I'm sure it's touched other people. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on Beyond the Mirror, Women Embracing Self-Love and Healing. If you or anyone you know has struggled with body image or eating disorder issues and are willing to share your story to inspire others, please comment your information below, and we will get in touch. Thank you for being brave and courageous ahead of time, and thank you for listening. We'll see you next time.